Checking in on Nintendo about a month out from the launch of the Switch 2, and it's a very interesting landscape. Now, you would think that customer satisfaction would be at an all-time high. People would be over the moon with their purchase of the Switch 2, but honestly, from what I'm seeing out there, like, a lot of people are playing Mario Kart World, but outside of some clips, yeah, that's about it, man. Like, just word on the street. I mean, like, I can walk into any of the big box retailers that still sell physical media, and I can go pick one up just as easy as I want to. I just have no desire to get a Switch 2, and especially with the games that have been announced so far, it's like, I do like me some Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Bonanza, though, does absolutely nothing for me. And, oh, cool, Kirby Air Riders 2. I'll treat it exactly like Kirby Air Riders and never think about it. Oh, but what's that? What's that? You're excited to play Metroid Prime 4, a game that was announced, what, in the last days of the Wii? Oh, cool, yeah, that's going to be coming out, theoretically, before the end of the year. And great, I can play it too on my original Switch. Like, there's no real incentive to buy this console at this point in time, and you're getting that from at least some honest people that are out there. But the simps are going to simp, and that's why, what was it, within the first 24 hours, like 3 million consoles moved, but we haven't heard anything about an updated sales total. And any of these sales insights that we're getting, well, it kind of paints a very dire picture. But let's take a look at how a Nintendo is responding, even right now, to their most receptive audience members, okay? Some of their most ambitious customers. Nintendo launches an opening salvo in the war against Switch 2 game pirates as MiG Switch users report online services being banned. Yeah, because you can't even use your console as intended, access certain features without Nintendo bricking their $500 piece of tech. But hey, no, that type of stuff, right? Like all of that hubbub we were hearing in the lead up to the launch of the Switch 2 about how Nintendo has given themselves the right to brick a console. Oh, that's in the terms of service of all of the big manufacturers. So if you're going to stand up on your principles, you need to go ahead and hold those other guys to task. Yeah, I haven't heard anybody lament the bricking of their PS5, and, well, to be fair, nobody owns an Xbox Series X or S at this point in time, so who knows if they're bricked or just simply not powered on. But it's very much happening over on the Nintendo side of life. But a wave of Switch 2 users are reportedly being banned from accessing the console's online services and believe that their use of the MiG Switch cartridge is the cause. The MiG Switch is the flash cartridge that stores and plays copied Nintendo Switch 1 games, something Nintendo itself takes a dim view on. Now, even as many users of the device claim that they're just playing backups of their own legally bought software. But regardless of its purpose, the outcome for inserting a MiG switch into your Switch 2 looks to be about the same. Impacted users says that they've begun receiving bans online for Switch 2 consoles, blocking them from online play, the console's eShop, and access to other Nintendo services. And I wonder, is there like a login requirement where you have to check in every once in a while in order for your console to maintain active status? Just wondering. And now they are hurriedly warning others of the consequences. My Switch 2 test has been banned after after using the MiG switch with perfectly legal dumps on my own cartridge. So it would seem that Nintendo can detect something. One user wrote on social media, linking to a string of similar reports online. Similar reports on Reddit are starting to come in. I strongly recommend that you do not use the MiG switch. It was already very risky to use, but it was even more so on the Switch 2. And to be fair, right, like it's people that are claiming that they're just simply using a copy of their own legally purchased software, but that's a little bit more of a gray area. But then again, you know, given the fact that the Switch 2 carts themselves only offer a small amount of the physical game itself and you have to download the rest of it, it's like, hey man, if Nintendo doesn't want digital games, why are you making all of your games digital to begin with? But while you can say that, okay, cool, that's a gray area that they want to get away with, maybe the punishment's a bit harsh. This, on the other hand, you better fix this, okay? Nintendo will turn off your Switch 2's rumble if it detects prolonged use. Okay, cool, so now it's going to be a nanny state for you if they deem that you're playing for too long. It's kind of like, oh god, I had a cell phone back in the cut, and I'm sure everybody probably had this at one point or another. Now, I've had mine since 2019, and I have zero intention of updating it anytime soon, mostly because I like the headphone jack. I like the 3.5 millimeter jack that's in there, and I don't want to give up something for a supposed upgrade that still has the same quality of screen my Samsung S10 has. It's like, it's still 2K, 1440p, and we're not seeing any upgrade. Okay, cool, I can get a few more lenses on the back of my camera. Fantastic stuff. Maybe I could shoot a film as terrible as 28 years later if I buy an upgrade. Fantastic stuff. I'm just fucking queuing up right now to get an upgrade. I digress. Going back to the whole, smartphone nanny feature. Yeah, you plug in your headphones, Bluetooth or physical, and after a certain amount of listening to something, it'll just immediately drop the volume and say, oh, you've been listening for too long and prolonged usage can lead to ear damage. It's like, motherfucker, I'm playing the shit that I want to play. Stop trying to be my mom. No. Nintendo thinks that they know better, okay? Because Switch 2 users have reported having their vibration effect on their controllers turned off. Now, should the console detect you're making prolonged use of their rumble feature? Reports of the warning for excessive rumble have filtered onto the Switch 2's launch earlier this month. As users see message from Nintendo pop up on the screen, rumble has been turned off due to prolonged use. Before the ability to make the Joy-Con further vibrate further is temporarily disabled. Interesting. I was getting this message originally after about an hour and a half of handheld playtime. Fucking what? Now it shows up within the first 20 minutes. Anyone else having this issue? Switch 2 owners say they've experienced issues with Joy-Con rumbling while enjoying a number of games, including vibration-heavy moments in Cyberpunk 2077. Yeah, you're in the middle of playing this big sprawling RPG, and then right in the middle of the heat of the battle, you end up getting this message. Yeah, we're gonna turn off rumble features, and you should go outside and touch grass. Like, the fuck. This would not be acceptable if it wasn't for those sycophants immediately adopting the Nintendo. If this was for any other console out there, you would be rightly calling this out. And I'm going to do it because I have no horse in this race. I don't want to Switch. I'm not necessarily against Nintendo. They have created some fantastic video games. I just think that they have some very shady business practices, and if they're willing to turn off rumble features, what else are they willing to turn off? Functionality of other applications? Pokemon Veteran loses 1,000-hour save. Oh my god, bro. 20 years of data after the Nintendo Switch 2 transfer shits the bed. Bro, I would literally be beside myself. Thousands of hours, generations and generations of Pokemon, 20 years of data. Man, I couldn't imagine. That's like losing a loved one. For years, fans eagerly awaited the arrival of the Switch 2, but the transition hasn't been entirely smooth. A few players are reporting issues involving Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, specifically with save data being lost during the transfer process to the new system. Posts on Reddit brought attention to the situation, and with the original poster saying their save file had disappeared after the move. Oof! The thread quickly filled with similar stories from others who claim that they have faced the same issue. One user, that Otaku26, shared that their lost file contained over 1,000 hours of gameplay and included beloved Pokemon carried over from multiple generations dating back to Leaf Green, and Pokemon Diamond and the Game Boy, on the Game Boy Advance and DS. I just got my Switch 2, did the startup and initial data transfer with no issue. My Scarlet save file is gone. It loads straight into the language selection and create a character screens. No data on my OLED, just all gone. There was no error in data transfer at all. It went fine, and my other Pokemon data is still there, but not Scarlet. I had Mons from the original GBA up to the current on there. Literally 20 years worth of data. There's nothing I can do. I don't even know if I want to play anymore, which, that much of a sunk cost, like, bro, don't blame you if you're just, and especially with the quality of Pokemon games that they're putting out. Don't worry, this one runs back, there's many screenshots of Violet, Scarlet running so much better than it did on Switch 1 hardware, which is just such a sad state of affairs. And whenever we talk about the Switch 2, what are people pimping on the platform? Okay, cool. Yeah, the Mario Kart world is fine, I guess. It'll eventually get better when, they actually add content to the game, but as it sits right now, it's fine. But yeah, all of your old games, they run better. Oh, cool. So I go out there and buy a new console like you had in generations past to play the games that you can still play on that old console. Backwards capability is fine and fantastic and is a great bridge to a console that is just starting and building up a library, but when you launch with literally one important title, and even though, people have been anticipating and wanting a Switch Pro, a Switch 2 for years at this point in time, and this is the best that you can offer, especially when your first-party games, which all of the Nintendo sycophants, depending on the franchise, depending on the IP, people will go ahead and snatch up, because I think outside of very few exceptions, every single franchise installment under Nintendo's first-party banner, if they released a title on the Switch, it became the best-selling iteration in their respective franchise. Zelda, multiple times over. Mario, both 2D and 3D, as far as I know. Animal Crossing, obviously, it released at the height of everything kicking off in 2020, and you can just continue to go down the list. Pokemon was the same way, and even still, the big killer app for the Switch 2, Legends ZA, that comes out, I think, in November, December? Tail end of the year. It's also going to be available on the Switch. So I beg the question once again, why does anybody need a Switch 2? And no, you don't need to just say nobody really needs a video game console. It's a luxury item after all. But no. If you have the money to spend, why should you spend it on a Switch 2? Oh, cool, because you could buy games that released in 2020 as well. Cyberpunk 2077 is the highest selling third-party game on the Switch 2. Well, what exactly does that mean? And what exactly are you getting? Well, we'll get to the former in a bit, but we can get to the latter right now by saying, yeah, I'm glad people got scammed with the Switch 2, and because you didn't listen, red flags were everywhere. This is Cyberpunk 2077, and this is the type of primo performance that you can get on the Switch 2, as opposed to picking up a relatively frequently on sale product over on Steam for a fraction of the price, because you can have, hey man, you can go ahead, you can spend $80 whole on an experience that runs like a broken fucking slideshow just because you want to support a company that doesn't put out woke games. Go ahead and justify it however you want, but taking a look at the sales data, Switch 2 third-party games flop at launch while Nintendo titles dominate sales. So yeah, Cyberpunk 2077 can be the best-selling third-party game, but if you're not providing any numbers, we can read between the lines. A new report from Game Business, authored in respect to the industry analyst Chris Dring, sheds light on early sales trends for the recently launched Switch 2. And once again, what is this, the fourth consecutive, because yeah, the GameCube, the Wii, the Wii U, and the Switch. Okay, now we're going on the fifth console cycle for Nintendo where third-party has failed. Now it is still very early. We're only a month into this thing, but honestly, it's once again continuing that trend. Very early adoption. Okay, I remember the reveal of the Wii U saying, "Hey guys, we got a very strong relationship, okay, with Warner Brothers Games, where we're gonna have a unique perspective. You can use the Wii U gamepad to, take one of the batarangs around Arkham Asylum, and you can scope things out by moving it around the screen." Oh, they had all of these lofty aspirations and all of these strong tie-ins. And I mean, one thing that I did buy for the Wii U, and I'm glad that I did, I think it was Madden 13, because yeah, you could use the gamepad as a playbook, and I was like, well, that's cool, but still, Madden 13 was Madden 13 after all, and it's a Madden title after, what was it, like 6? Whenever Michael Vick was on the cover, that was the last one that was good. That might have been 4 even, but according to launch data from Nielsen IQ, a staggering 86% of physical game sales for the Switch 2 in the UK were Nintendo-published titles. Yeah, makes sense. Figure heavily influenced by the inclusion of Mario Kart World in the hardware bundle. When excluding the bundle, Nintendo still accounted for 48% of game sales, showing a strong hold on consumer interest, even without packing assistance. In the US, data from Circana indicated a similar trend. 68% of game sales were from first-party titles, again excluding the Mario Kart bundle. While those numbers are slightly lower than the launch of the original Switch, where first-party games made up 89% of UK sales and 81% in the US, the Switch 2 debuted with a significantly larger library of games, which makes first-party dominance all the more notable. Yes, exactly. Because there was no backwards capability with the Switch, because you went from discs back to cartridges with the Switch, and you can go ahead and buy all of those Switch 1 titles for rip. But yes, let's take a look at Cyberpunk, okay? Among the third-party offerings, Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition emerged as the best-selling non-Nintendo title at launch. Its success is partially credited to including the full game on a physical cartridge, in contrast to the unpopular Game Key card format used by most other third-party games. I'm sure, right? These Game Key cards provide a download code instead of inside the case rather than a playable cartridge, something many collectors and physical media fans have rejected outright. Yeah, because Nintendo can just go ahead and retroactively retract your ability to access any of those online features, including your online library of games. Now, Sega performed relatively well because of the third largest third-party publisher on the platform, with launch titles such as Sonic X Shadows Generations, Yakuza 0 Director's Cut, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2S helped the company carve out a modest presence. Yeah, all of those games, I think, like Sonic X Shadow Generations, which came out at the tail end of the last year, is the newest one. Yakuza 0 is quite old at this point in time. However, not all publishers are pleased with the results. One unnamed third-party executive told the Game Business that launch sales came in below our lowest estimates, really, despite what had been described as a remarkably strong hardware sales of the system itself. Yeah, and where are we hearing that data from? Nintendo. Are we having it corroborated by any other third-party sites? Nope. They are just simply parroting the Nintendo line. I said this at the beginning, okay? When the Switch 2 launched, it was going to do gangbusters. It was going to break all the records. It was going to be the biggest console launch of all time. I will grant you that. There are sycophants that are out there, and there are Nintendo bots around every single corner, licking the boot of the big N, regardless of any decision that they make. But the long-term success of this console is going to be told in the forthcoming months. And here we are, not but a month later, asking the question if the Switch 2 is ultimately going to bomb or going to succeed. Early indications lean on the latter, as the former is just a big old empty road that people are doing rail grinds and flips on. Mario Kart World is in fact the perfect launch title for the Switch 2, a big open and barren experience, intermittently interrupted with bouts of excitement. We'll see how it goes throughout the rest of the year. I'll be paying attention. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.